Hello, this is Michelangelo Hamilton, owner, founder, chief tropical weather blogger with Max Tropical Weather Blog, and today is May 30th, 2015 on this fine evening, and today we're going to be talking about our seasonal prediction for the Eastern Pacific Ocean and all of the variables that are going on at this time. So stay tuned and we'll be starting in a few. Okay, so we are back tonight and we're going to start off by talking about the 2015 Eastern Pacific predictions and our predictions for the Eastern Pacific. And this is probably our second seasonal prediction show for the basins that are out there. Our second year will be coming up soon. So this will all be coming very shortly, so please stay tuned very shortly. And we are back on live here. So we're going to start off with what are the current predictions for tropical cyclone activity in the Eastern Pacific. And we have two official seasonal forecasts that are issued. The first one was issued on April 10th, 2015 by the Servicio Meteorological Nacional, by an organization, a meteorological organization, Spanish meteorological organization, and they are calling for 19 named storms, 11 hurricanes, and 4 major hurricanes. And they're predicting a very moderate to high number of systems due to the increased likelihood of an El Nino occurring, and perhaps a super El Nino really raging in the Eastern Pacific, which would cause for more tropical cyclone activity. So they are calling for, again, 19 named storms, 11 hurricanes, and 4 major hurricanes. So, and also this organization listed similar sets of seasons with the same atmospheric conditions, including in 1982, 1986, 1991, 94, and 2003. However, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration's Climate Prediction Center released their forecast for the year, and they are forecasting a 70% chance likelihood of an above average season with 15 to 22 named systems, 7 to 12 hurricanes, and 5 to 8 major hurricanes, with the accumulated cyclone energy of the region. And this index range, they're forecasting from 110% to 190%. And what this means is that they're forecasting a lot of intense activity, more than average, in this basin. They also highlighted the difference in sea surface temperature patterns in the 2015 and the 1995 to 2014 period. So they're saying that there's a difference in the global sea surface temperatures today than the last 20 years or so, up to 95, going back all the way to 95. So we do have our first storm in this basin. It is currently a Category 2, very near Category 3, but we're at this time it doesn't look like it will reach a 3. But, this is just signs that the El Nino will kick in probably when we get to the July and August range. We're looking at really an above average season. And, this is going to be a very interesting season with the, probability very high, a 70% chance of an above average season. So, all of those who are on the East Pacific, be ready for anything that comes regardless of this, if you have the capability of, preparing. So, that is why this is very important, and that is why we must act now to prepare for these types of events and to do the best we can. So our prediction for the tropical cyclone activity in the Eastern Pacific for the 2015 hurricane season is the following. We are predicting about 20 named systems. 18 to 20 named systems, 8 to 10 hurricanes, and 6 major hurricanes. So let me reiterate that for you. We are forecasting first 8 to 10 18 to 20 named systems. Hurricanes, we are forecasting anywhere between 8 to, I believe, 10 hurricanes and about 6 major hurricanes. Or about, yes, 6. So this season should be very active, and both of these organizations are the Servicio Meteorologico Nacional and NOAA CPC office. They're saying basically that the basin will become so active with more difference in global sea surface temperatures. Super El Nino on the way. Once that El Nino kicks in, we should see an increase in tropical cyclone activity and an increase in also dramatic effects globally. Now, like in the 90s when the El Nino came about, it was a very bad El Nino, but this time we may see a rare event of an El Nino, perhaps a super El Nino, and we'll talk about that more in the next after the next break. So thank you for listening so far, and we'll be back from the next break in the next 5 minutes. Thank you. And hello, we are back for the next 12 minutes. We're going to be talking about what is a Super El Nino and is it coming in this season? Well, according to Climate Central, thinkprogress.org, so I'm reading this article here, is a Super El Nino coming that will shatter extreme weather and global temperature records. Now, the article talks about an El Nino, and it says, quote, an El Nino is characterized by unusually warm ocean temperatures in the equatorial Pacific that contrasts with the unusually cold temperatures in the equatorial Pacific during La El Nina. So both are associated with extreme weather around the globe. But as the chart that is displayed here, it has an increasing trend with El Nino years higher than La El Nina years. It shows that there is a higher increase in temperatures during El Nino years. So what does this mean? It adds to the global warming trend, and the last Super El Nino that we had was in '98. It created devastating effects across the globe, and the last El Nino we saw was in 2010. And in 2010, 20 countries set an all-time record high. And a quote from this article says, Asia's hottest reliably measured temperature of all time, 128 degrees, 0.3 in Pakistan in May 2010. 2010 was the planet's most extraordinary year for extreme weather since reliable global upper air data began in the late 1940s. So this article is stating that in El Nino years there are more warm global temperatures, and it enhances some activity in the East Pacific. There is research that says that as well. But the interesting thing about it is that all of these statistics that are shows that an El Nino trend is occurring, and if we don't get El Nino, it states from this article, it will look, if we don't get El Nino, and it looks like anything like the 1997/1998 one. Well, if we do get an El Nino, then 2015 in particular should be the hottest year on record by far. So El Nino is really, really important to tropical cyclone prediction. And this is really important to the East Pacific. And I'm going to explain a little bit why in more detail. Because we need to know that El Nino has devastating effects on other areas. And, this is very important news for all of you. But what does it mean for hurricanes? What does it mean? According to Climate Central, on their April 15, 2015 article published by Andrea Thompson. So what does it mean? What does it mean? Well, according to the article, it states that, that they're combining the strength of the storm. Well, it's first of all, tropical cyclone activity ramps up during El Nino events. Period. Usually. It doesn't necessarily mean it's more storms, according to this article, according to Philip Kollersbach, if I'm saying this correctly, a hurricane research from Colorado State University. But it could just mean storms, quote, it might mean just storms. it might just mean storms form in areas that leave them with plenty ocean to travel before they pour out and drift the areas more likely to be hit by storms. Such as longer-lasting storms are something frequently seen in the Pacific during El Nino. So longer period of storms, maybe more activity. But the El Nino didn't really emerge until February. So the really peak of the El Nino is later on. And according to the most recent El Nino observations, according to what this article is saying, is that the climate and model predictions suggest that the current event is looking a little more textbook and could last through the summer, possibly even strengthening. Because of this, Colt Spatch thinks that the ACU should actually be high this year, though he expects only 7 tropical storms to form in the Atlantic compared to an average 12. Of course, his forecast calls for only 3 to become hurricanes and compared to an average of 6. That's in the Atlantic. But talking about Pacific-wise, what does this mean for the Pacific? Well, it usually means that, there's some tropical cyclone activity in the Pacific. It could form a little bit more. And it is really important. And the Atlantic is not so much. It's not a really big deal in the Atlantic. And it helps really, usually during the El Nino years with the exception of Hurricane Andrew, it doesn't really enhance tropical cyclone activity. Actually does the opposite and diffuse the tropical cyclone activity. And there is research here that says El Nino fuels hurricanes in the Pacific. So, according to this article from the University of Hawaii at Manoa, from Reporting Climate Science, published on May 12, 2014, we got about 5 minutes left. This article states, it's a study that states that the El Nino's discharged heat fuels intense hurricanes that form in the region. So, also in the Atlantic season, it can influence systems. Because the heat can influence systems in the Atlantic a little bit, but usually it's producing wind shear and characterizations that are, that doesn't allow the system to form. So, with a super El Nino, what we're talking about here, in a regular El Nino, it would be more of a usual thing that we saw last year. Last year, I don't believe we had El Nino. But a super El Nino, tropical cyclone activity would explode. There are fewer systems in the Atlantic, usually during the El Nino season. Although there is research that shows that El Nino produces more sea surface temperatures, there's also research stating that an El Nino brings dry air in the Atlantic, so that's why they don't form. El Nino can bring the warm temperatures in the Atlantic, but if you have the dry air, the system will continue to disintegrate. So, but in the Pacific, on the other hand, which we're mainly talking about here, you have low wind shear, a lot warmer waters with all these emissions from the El Nino in this equatorial Pacific, and that's usually where the storms usually travel. So it's going to be using this fuel to fuel itself and to become more stronger and more potent and possibly more deadly. So they used Super Typhoon Haiyan in 2013 to use that for research. And they used this research. They saw that sea surface temperatures that were abnormal, a little higher in the Western Pacific, really fueled this, and it created, quote, extraordinarily intense tropical cyclones. So if we have a really strong Super El Nino this year, we could have a lot of increased tropical cyclone activity. It could also create mean global climate warmth increases, and it can increase the frequency and intense hurricanes. So I'm going to leave you out here tonight with our last a few words here, and just want you to be prepared for whatever happens in the Eastern Pacific. We'll keep you updated as we always do, and we are very pleased to talk to you all tonight to really give you the specifics on what's going on right now in the East Pacific. We have our first name system right now. It is a hurricane right now, and this is really important. And this year could be one for the record books, ladies and gentlemen. And it could be, again, the hottest year on record, and global warming would continue. So I want to leave you off here with our predictions again. As I stated, we are forecasting 18 to 20 name systems. I believe hurricanes, we're forecasting anywhere from 10 to 12. Major hurricanes, 6. So thank you for joining me tonight. Please visit our website at www.maxtropicalweather.weebly.com, and please join the lovely weather chat room called WXChat. That is WXCHAT, WXChat, and it is a wonderful place where you can learn about tropical cyclones and tornadoes. It is a channel made by Storm Lover for Storm Lovers, and we greatly and proudly endorse this channel. Also, I want to say here tonight, I am thankful for all of our viewers. We're going to have our second year coming up soon on June 19th. We hope for you to be there and celebrate with us. You'll be hearing more shortly about this when we get there in June. Take care, and good night, everyone. Good night, and have a great Saturday evening.